Hey guys, I figured I would jump on real quick and just show you how I'm going to finish these little guys up. I did put 2 coats of sealant on the outside of the bowl, so I will seal the inside. And like I said, I'm going to put the 5 coats on this because I am going to use it for food. So, and you have to excuse my voice, guys. I have got a cold. I don't even know where I got it from, but yeah, I do. I have spent half the day in bed, and yeah, it's been a day. But I wanted you guys to see some of the process to get these guys finished. So I am gonna take this little guy right here, and we're just gonna sand that little bubble right out of his tail so that it won't even show. So these have sat for 2 days. So they are, dry. You would not have to, if you were putting acrylic paint on them, you would not have to wait for them to dry. And the reason I say that is because when I do my concrete statues, which there's a video down below, and when I finish those, I actually douse them in water so that the first coat of paint absorbs into the concrete. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same way with this mix to mold. It's just gonna give that first layer a chance to really adhere into the piece. All right, so I am just going to wipe this. So now we've smoothed out that bubble so we don't even see the bubble anymore. And I just grabbed some gray paint. I didn't think to grab a paintbrush. Hang on. You know, when you don't feel good, your brain doesn't function and everything else. Let's see. I just want a couple of different textured brushes. All right. Because even though the elephants are cute, I want to have a little bit of variation in his body. So I just took, this is just regular Artist Loft gray. You can make it, if you don't have gray, you can just take black and white. And I'm just going to, and I do have my, I can't even think of what it's called now, but it's like a staggered brush. And I am just going to just kind of like where those little, the little grooves are, just kind of doing a little dry brushing. There's not much paint on my brush at all. Because if you look at an elephant, they're not one color by any means. You know, they have the different shades, light and dark. So I just figured this would give him just a little bit of something going on. You know, so you just, I mean, barely any paint at all. And just kind of getting those, you know, like where those little lines are, just to kind of give them a little bit of character. And like this is a little bit dark. I just went in and wet my brush. And that is just going to loosen that up enough where you can kind of blend it into the other areas. So see how it took that big lump away, and so you can actually put a little bit of water in your paint and that will thin it down as well. You know, we just want a little bit of color in our little elephant guy. Get out of here, bug. And again, I had a little bit of a darker spot, so I just picked up some water. And then you can also brush it with your finger because it's acrylic paint. It's not going to hurt you. And acrylics do dry a little bit darker than what is showing. So just so that you are aware of that. And look, guys, I have my my tacky rings on. I just had to throw that in there. I just did, just because I can. All right. So all right. And let me grab, maybe I could just use a little dotting tool. Let me just try this. All right. And by the time I get the dog done, then he will be ready to seal because he'll be dry because we barely used any paint at all. All right, so we're just gonna put some little eyes in him. So I'm just putting it on the very, very tip of the silicone brush. Oh my God, my nose. And let's see, we're just gonna put a little bit of dark in here where his little snout thing would be. And the same thing down in here. just took some water, and I'm just kind of smudging that around. All right, so there is our cute little elephant. All right. So let's get, let me move that out of the way. So I'm just going to smooth out some of these sharper bubble edges. And you know, because they're at the bottom of his ear, I just don't want them to be sharp. That's all. I'm just trying to get that little bit of sharpness out of there. All right, so he didn't need a whole lot. He just had those few little bubbles in. All right. All right. So he's a little too pink for me. So I might have to get a little bit of white out too. So this is just raw sienna. And let me grab a little bit of white. Where did my white go? All right, let me just grab a tube from up here. All right, and this is just titanium white. Oh my, I feel like caca. All right, just put that there, and so I'm not like trying to fill him in. I am just kind of brushing over the high spots of this little guy. And some areas, like this area, I have a little bit more white than I do brown. So now I'm just gonna, I'll pick up just a little bit more of the brown. You know, because, I mean, animals aren't just like one color. They are a variation of colors. All right. He just seemed, I don't know, he just was too pink for me. I couldn't get the plaster or whatever, the mix to mold color, the color that I wanted. So we're just gonna give him some little bit of something going on. And I'm just kind of picking up sometimes more of the raw sienna and other times more of the white. It just, there's just no rhyme or reason, you know. And if you wanted a really light spot down in here, you just pick up a little bit more of the white. And that way you have that little bit of variation. And it just kind of tones that pink color down but yet it still does, you know, leave a little bit of that shining through underneath. So yeah. You know, and then you just kind of look at them and be like, oh yeah, I want them to have a little bit more here, there. So that's basically how I would finish my little pieces. So let me rinse that off, and we're going to go in with the black. I have this little bug or fly or something that's just driving me bonkers. Now, I would have never thought of using this little silicone brush, but you know what? It's working really, really good because it's a nice stiff point. And we're just gonna kind of outline his mouth just a little bit. And let me just try this brush. This one might be too big, but yeah, that one's gonna be way too big. Let me grab a little liner brush. All right, I just wet it a little bit, and I'm just gonna grab some water, and we're just gonna thin that. All right. And I am not liking that, so I'm just gonna take some water, and we're just gonna kind of blend that down. And let's see. So this is just a clean brush I just wet. So I'm just trying to smudge that little bit of black in there. And I'll just pick up some of this color and just kind of go around his little nose. And we'll just darken his face just a little bit. And that way it hides that little bit of black that I did not like. gonna put a little bit more of that darker brown in and around. Just giving him a little variation of color. All right, so I need to get some sort of like a pink. I don't want it too. This is red oxide. All right, we're just going to use this silicone brush, and I am just we're going to kind of lighten that up, and we're just going to give that tongue just a little bit of that pink hue. See that? So it's not a drastic difference, but yet it is, there is enough. So I just put the smallest little dot of white. And we're just going to give them just a little bit of a sparkle in them eyeballs. And we're going to do the same thing on our little elephant. Just like that. All right. So that is pretty much kind of what I do to like finish off my pieces. So I figured I would jump on, show you, and then we're going to go in. I'm going to seal the inside of this bowl. We're just going to give these guys a few more minutes. So I'm going to use a mop brush this time. And all right. And so this brush is nice and soft. So I'm hoping that we don't get like a bunch of lines. I do have 2 other glazes coming just because this one just seems to really leave like streak marks that I really don't like, but I need to seal it and I need it to be food safe. So but this way here will give you somewhat of an idea of how it's going to look when it's sealed. Now I am going much heavier on this layer than I did on the outside. So I had to do the outside so that I had a spot to hold it before I did the inside. So that is 2 coats on the outside, and that's 1 on the inside. So I'm just gonna let that dry. Each coat you gotta let dry for 2 hours. So, and then these, I only did the 1 coat on these because, you know, these are just going to have little trinkets in them. But that's the 1 coat. I just smooth that down. And this is the 1 coat on this one. So these 2 are done. And let's get Little Mr. Elephant guy here done. All right. And because he's got so many little divots, this one is gonna take, you know, and that's why I picked this brush, because I knew I was gonna need something fluffy to get into all of those like little groove areas. And I'm only going to do one coat on him and the dog, because they're not going to be used for food or, you know, heavy traffic or outside or anything like that. So one coat is sufficient on these little guys. But I just wanted to show you guys the finished product. So it's gonna, if I add this to my current video, it's gonna make it a long video, but I might just make it a video on its own. All right, so let's just kind of move this little bugger kind of out of the way. And let's get the dog done. So I'm filming this on a Sunday afternoon. And my gloves should be here tomorrow, so I cannot wait. It's been very hard for me to sustain, but I did because I want to be able to keep putting content out for you guys. So I'm like, all right, I gotta suck it up, put my big girl panties on, and wait until my gloves get here. And then hope and pray that they work. So, I do have some magic pour. I will be doing a video on that, which is from Let's Resin. And I have some the J. Diction Eco Pour coming in. So, all right, so I'm going to let those dry for a little bit, and I will get some final pictures and get them posted. And, I mean, I suppose let's just put a coat on these little birds. Really? That's what happens when you don't clean your brush off. And we just kind of blend it in. There we go. And just gives them a little bit of texture. All right. So it just gives him, like, you know, he's been playing in a dirty bird bath. You know, when you don't feel good, you're like, whatever, it's good enough. Yeah, and that's kind of the mood I'm in. But I have had a few people ask on how, you know, I seal them, and they'd like to see the finished products. So I figured I would just do a little video on that. So yeah. Alrighty. So I'm going to let those dry, and then I will get some pictures, and we will get this uploaded. And then you can just wash this off in regular water. So it's very easy to clean off. All right. So I will see you guys on the next video. Alrighty, guys, have a great rest of your day.